Hey up everybody, Magpie9901 here, welcome back. In the background is No Man's Sky. Now, I did film this footage of No Man's Sky and do the audio with it, and I record my audio separately so that I can play about with the levels of it, and I ran a noise reducing effect on it in Audacity and forgot to save it. So this is just commentary over the top of the game. I'm not actually playing the game as I'm talking to you. So anyway, I did talk about in the commentary that I never saved about some of the woes that Hello Games have been having this week with regards to No Man's Sky. Now, I don't suppose the woes really, they just had teething problems with the game when it came out. I mean, technically, when you look at the PS4 launch and the PC launch, they wasn't too bad, and the main reason for that is that they didn't have a multiplayer element. A lot of the time with these games it's the multiplayer element that needs work, you know, games release and there's server connection issues and other, you know, multiplayer related issues that stop the game being played to its full potential, and we didn't have none of that with No Man's Sky because there is no multiplayer element to it. Now, of course, they did state that there would be a multiplayer element and there isn't, and that's got a lot of people pissed off, which is fair enough. I mean, if you've been following this game for months and months and months and years, even years, and they've talked about multiplayer elements and then all of a sudden the game releases and you don't have those elements within it, then yeah, you've got a right to be pissed off, especially if they haven't come out at any point and gone, well, no, actually, that won't be in the game, we can't include that. You know, when they've gone along all the time and said this will be in the game, right up to it launching, and then when it comes out, it's not in the game, then yeah, you've got a right to be pissed off, and I can understand that. Me, personally, I haven't been too pissed off with the game. I only started looking into No Man's Sky about 2 months ago, like the concept of it, like the idea of it. I'd not bought into the whole thing because I'd not been following it, so the game has come out and I've had very few expectations of it, and I'm quite enjoying it. It's quite a relaxing game, there's not a great deal of depth to it, there's not a lot of thinking needs to be done to play the game, which is good. It's good to have a game where you don't have to have a lot of thought in it, you can just take your mind out for an hour and just, you know, bimble around and just have, you know, I was going to say have a laugh, we can't even really have a laugh, but you just, you know, you go around, you man things, you fly around, trade a bit, and it is generally a relaxing game. Each planet's different, the animals are different, the plants not so much different, I found them quite the same, to be honest, but the animals, yeah, the animals are quite different in each planet that you go to. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. Like I say, I didn't have a lot of expectations on the game, so it's hard for me to say, well, it's done this bad and it hasn't included that and it's got that wrong. Yes, there was graphical issues when the game launched, I'll give you that, and I did suffer from those myself, and it was like playing a game on Windows 3.1. You know, it wasn't like playing a game in 2016 on a very powerful rig. It was really, really crappy performance, crappy frame rates. The texture pop was really noticeable. I don't like to call it texture pop because it doesn't really pop in, it sort of like blends in, but the blending just isn't neat whatsoever. It's really ugly, to be honest. But, you know, other than a few graphical issues, bit of stuttering, you couldn't tab in and out of the game, which was annoying to begin with because I do like to tab out of my games a lot, especially when you're doing recordings. It's useful to tab in and out, but I wasn't able to do that. But this week, last Sunday actually, I put the experimental beta patch on, which fixed nearly all of the problems for me. There's been 3 more small patches released on Steam this week, and the game has just got smoother and smoother. And it's like playing a brand new game now, even though it is actually new anyway, but it's newer now. And it's good. It shows that they're working on it, they're working towards the right objective, which is giving us the finished game that we arguably should have got at launch. But, you know, I'm not picking on Hello Games here exclusively because every developer does this. They give us half-assed games. I'm not saying Hello Games give us half-assed games, but the majority of the time when a game's released, it's still in beta, really. you know, it leaves a lot of patches, etc, etc. So, but credit to Halo Games, they've put the patches out, it's smoothed out or ironed out a lot, if not all of the problems that I was suffering myself. That's not to say that it's fixed for everybody though, because you look at PC gaming, and PC gaming is, there's no one true platform for PC gaming. Yes, we're all PC gamers, but we've all got different PCs. There's millions and millions of different permutations of hardware and software that we run that can affect games in different ways, but for me personally it's running fine now, and you could say that there's a general consensus that it's running better, but people out there are still having trouble. So, but I'm sure that they'll keep working on those problems. So yeah, it hasn't been a bad launch technically for them. So, you know, thumbs up to them. It was a labour of love for them. They've put a lot into it. Yeah, people are pissed off that they haven't got what they wanted out of it, you know, but I can't grumble at it. I'm quite enjoying it. Now, I've read an article this week about there being paid for DLC. Now, Sean Murray had been quoted in the past as saying that you've bought the game, so all future updates and DLC should be free. Now, I do and I don't agree with that. I do agree with that because I'd love for all DLC to be free for games. It would be awesome if that was the case, but we just don't live in that kind of time anymore. DLC is arguably nearly always has to be paid for. There's very little free DLC out there. There might be some free if you've paid for a premium edition, but then it's not really free because you've already more or less paid for it. Maybe a discounted price because you've paid for it wrapped up in the full version of a game, but still you are essentially paying for it. So I don't know, it depends on the DLC that is brought out. I think if there is to be a multiplayer element to this game, then that should be free, because they've obviously promised that a lot in the past and it hasn't been included in the game. So if they were to do a multiplayer element, then I believe that that should be provided free. If they go ahead and do the advanced sort of trading they want to do and building bases and, you know, things like that, then maybe that should be paid for. That's fine. I get that, that's fair enough. But yeah, a multiplayer element should be free. Whether it will or not, I don't know. But we'll see. A lot of people seem to think that they're going back on their promises and blah blah blah, but I personally don't have anything against them and what they have done. I think in a lot of ways Sony has pushed this game as a big title, because when you look at the title release calendar for the last few months, this has pretty much been the biggest title for the last, say, 2-3 months. Easily been the biggest title. And it kicks off sort of like the late summer, early autumn calendar of titles coming out, so, and I think Sony have overhyped it to the point where the expectations on the game were never going to be met by a developer that is an indie developer at the end of the day. You know, it's not a AAA title, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's got a AAA price, which is wrong. I do believe that it should be priced lower, but now the game is released, it will only drop, it's not going to rise in price. So if you're on the fence about getting it and you want to wait for the price to drop, then, you know, I can see that happening over the next coming weeks and few months. Excuse me. But no, I'm quite enjoying it. I don't have any animosity towards Hello Games for promises they have or haven't kept. You know, I'm taking the game on face value and enjoying it quite a lot. What else is there? Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, all of the review copies went out and various places have been reviewing it. Obviously, I'm not worthy of a review copy right now. I would like to think that sometime in the future I might be, but I think I've got a fair few years of building my channel to get to that point, if I ever get to that point, but that would be awesome if I ever did. But yeah, that's a game that I'm going to be featuring on the channel. I'm hopefully going to get that sometime during the week and maybe get some videos up next weekend, maybe a first impressions, a first play video. I've enjoyed previous Deus Ex games and this one looks good, so yeah, I'll be having a blast on that one for a bit. Another game that I was going to feature on the channel, which might not now get featured depending on how I feel, is Titanfall 2. Now there is a beta of this running this week, but it's only on the Xbox One and PS4. for some reason Respawn don't believe that they need to do a PC beta, from what I've been reading. Now, there can be only two reasons for that. One, they're supremely confident that the PC version is finished and is good and doesn't need any testing, which I'd find very hard to believe. Or two, that it's going to be such a crappy console port that they just don't want to give it to PC people right now because it'd put too many people off. And that is what I'm leaning towards. I think that's what it's going to be, which is a shame because I didn't mind the original Titanfall. It was okay. It was something new at the time, but it wasn't very original. You know, it was basically Call of Duty with mech suits, which, you know, it's been done before. It wasn't really, I don't know. It was alright. It was alright for an hour blast here and there, but wasn't much to it. Now with Titanfall 2, they're adding a single player element, which for me is what I'm most interested in, because sometimes I like to play games and I couldn't give a shit about the storyline. In fact, a lot of time I couldn't give a shit about the storyline. I know the very basics and I go ahead and play the game and enjoy it for what it is. But with Titanfall, it came out and there was no real story behind it. You didn't know what it was all about, really. You know, and that's what a single player element is going to give it. It's going to give it a character. It's going to give it its own identity. And I was looking forward to that. I will still get it on the PC and play it, but I am disappointed that the beta doesn't extend to the PC. It'd have been good to see it on the PC. Obviously the infrastructure there is there for running a beta, so I really don't understand their ideology behind we don't need to do one. Why not? Why not do one? You're going to do, apparently this weekend and next weekend is the beta on the Xbox One and PS4. So why not do it on the PC? I don't understand. I have played it on the PS4 earlier today and I have enjoyed it, but it's the multiplayer element only and it doesn't really build much on the original for me. It's pretty much the same. So we'll see where that one goes. But I was looking forward to doing the beta on it on the PC, but that's not happening now. So anyway, never mind. But yeah, enjoying No Man's Sky quite a lot, if not a lot. I've been looking for the Atlas Pass V2, and I've heard that you have to keep visiting colonial outposts on just one planet, and you have to keep going through them for a couple of hours, and eventually you'll be awarded the blueprint. Now I do have another Atlas Stone which I can use to create one, and I was given that in like it wasn't a space anomaly, it was like an Atlas anomaly. It was an Atlas space station, first one I've found within the game. So, and inside you could learn quite a lot of new words. I learned 4 or 5 new words while I was in there. There was like these pad things that you could stand on and each one would give you a new word. So that was pretty cool. So I'm hoping to get the V2 one because I obviously want to expand on my character quite a lot. The extra slots make such a difference. And hopefully I'm going to be able to raise enough money to buy a new ship soon. But looking at other ships, I'm looking at needing around 2 million units to get a decent sized ship with a lot of slots in. So that's what I'm aiming towards at the moment, that's what I'm working towards. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. And that's about it for today really. I was hoping to do, well I did do more in-depth commentary, but I can't remember everything that I said in the one that I didn't save, so that's just sod's law, you live and learn, don't you, I guess. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I will be covering a lot more AAA titles over the next coming months and the next few years if I decide to keep this channel going, which I'm hoping to do because I'm really enjoying doing it at the moment. So yeah, subscribe and I shall catch you in the next one. Take care.